Well, 1 year ago, I got a call at about 3 a.m., and when you're governor, the 3 a.m. calls are usually not positive calls. The report was that there had been a partial collapse of a condominium complex down in South Florida, and I knew that was serious. The images in my mind for how it was described to me is maybe some balconies had fallen or something that was potentially manageable. As I made my way down here, I started to see images on TV, and it looked more serious than that. But it didn't hit me the full gravity. I don't think you could appreciate it until you were on this ground looking at it. It was a massive collapse, and these guys, the first responders, were there from the wee hours of the morning. They saved people from the adjacent tower, and they were there working on that pile, doing whatever they could to try to save anybody who may have been a survivor. And I remember standing out a day or two later, you'd see smoke, and it was a tough situation. And so we had the people not only from Miami-Dade, we had teams end up coming from all over the state of Florida and even other states come to help. And so as governor, I just want to say thank you for stepping up and being there. It was not an easy job as a first responder. It was very emotional. I think it took a toll on a lot of people. But I think you showed why in the state of Florida we respect what you do so much. So from our state, just thank you for being there when people needed you. And that was one example, but you saw an entire community mobilize in support of, obviously, families who were wondering what happened with their loved ones, other families who were displaced, and you had individuals step up. You had organizations, all the religious groups stepped up and it got to the point where there was a surplus of people that were wanting to donate items. And so I think that speaks a lot about this community in Surfside, also the greater community in South Florida. But we had people really from all across the state. And so in a very difficult time, you saw a lot of great parts of humanity coming forward to help those in need. And so I was very humbled to be able to see that in the state I'm fortunate to represent. And of course, we did have folks who were able to evacuate the other tower. They're all of a sudden left without their possessions. They're left without a roof over their head. And that was a very difficult and traumatic time. And I know we had a lot of people on the ground helping them. I know a lot of money was raised helping them. But that was very, very difficult. And we did what we could, of course, from our office. The local folks did a lot. And then, of course, all our private organizations. But, of course, the devastating aspect of this is losing 98 great individuals. And if you look at the folks who were in Champlain Towers South who passed away that day, they really represented a cross-section of the state of Florida. You had young professionals that were just starting their lives. You had families with kids. You had grandparents who were retired. Some had been longtime residents. Others had been relatively new to the area. They had connections, of course, not just in other parts of our state and country, but they had connections from all over the world, and they represented many different faiths. And I can tell you, when we were waiting those initial days with the hope that some would be rescued, it provided an opportunity for people to learn about some of these individuals. And I can tell you this, people who've never been to Surfside, people who've never even been to the state of Florida, were inspired about the stories and the lives that those 98 people led. They made an impact on their friends, on their family, on their communities, and beyond. And so we really thought it was important at the state of Florida to make sure that their memories live on. And so I was happy in our budget to ask the legislature to dedicate an initial $1 million towards a memorial that can be constructed on this site. And I'm happy to report that was included in the budget that I signed into law. And we also, so that people realize, because Before this happened, you go up and down these streets, you see these condo buildings, you don't really think anything of it. But, each little unit really represented a remarkable life and a remarkable story. And so we want to make sure that people understand that. And so we are going to be able to now designate this portion of Collins Avenue 98 Points of Light Road. So every time people drive by, they're going to be reminded that there were great people that lived in that tower, and that this is a tragedy that wounded this community and our state, but we are not going to forget what they meant to this community and our state, and this sign is a small token to do that. So I want to thank you all for coming to remember the 98, and God bless their memory, and God bless Surfside and the state of Florida.